Billionaire hears a poor single mom beg, "Please save my daughter." What he does next will shock you. The sterile chill of St. Vincent's ER waiting room usually grated on Marcus Thorne. To him, it was a monument to inefficiency, a place where time bled away in uncomfortable plastic chairs and the low hum of fluorescent lights. He was only here because his private physician insisted on a routine checkup now, and his usual clinic was booked. He sat, impeccably tailored in charcoal wool, scrolling through market reports on his phone, mentally calculating the ROI of a new acquisition. The world outside his gilded bubble was just background noise. Then a sound cut through the clinical hum. Not a cough, not a wail, but a raw, broken whisper, trembling with a terror so profound it felt like a physical blow. "Please, please, save my daughter." Marcus looked up, irritated at the disruption. His eyes landed on a young woman huddled near the triage desk. She couldn't have been more than 25, her clothes worn thin at the elbows, dark circles like bruises beneath her eyes. Her arms cradled a tiny bundle wrapped in a faded, threadbare blanket. The baby was frighteningly still, her skin pale, lips tinged with blue. The woman's knuckles were white where she gripped the blanket, her gaze fixed on a harried nurse who was already shaking her head, gesturing towards a stack of forms. "We need the copay first, ma'am," the nurse said, her voice weary but not unkind. "It's hospital policy. Without it, we can't admit her for the tests the doctor ordered." The woman's shoulders slumped. A fresh wave of despair washed over her face, so intense it seemed to dim the harsh overhead lights. She looked down at her daughter, her lips moving silently, then back at the nurse, her voice cracking like thin ice. I don't have it. Not all of it. I sold my phone, my grandmother's locket. I have $37. Tears spilled over, tracing clean paths through the exhaustion on her cheeks. "She's only one. She can't breathe right. Please, please, save my daughter." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Marcus watched, detached at first. Another sob story. Probably should have had a better plan. But then he saw the baby's chest, the shallow, rapid rise and fall, the terrifying stillness between breaths. He saw the utter, abject terror in the mother's eyes, the kind that strips away everything but the primal need to protect your child. It wasn't a story, it was a raw nerve exposed. Something shifted deep within him. Not pity. Marcus Thorne rarely felt pity. It was a jarring recognition, a memory, sharp and unexpected. His own mother, years ago, holding him when he was small and sick, her face etched with that same desperate fear. He'd forgotten that look, forgotten that vulnerability existed outside boardrooms and balance sheets. Before he could second-guess the impulse, Marcus was on his feet. He strode towards the desk, his expensive shoes silent on the linoleum. The nurse looked up, startled. The young mother flinched, pulling her daughter closer, bracing for another rejection. Marcus didn't look at the nurse. His eyes locked onto the mother's. He saw the defiance warring with despair, the fierce love radiating from her despite her brokenness. He reached into his inner jacket pocket, not for his phone, but for his wallet. He pulled out a sleek, black card, not a credit card, but a private access card to his personal medical trust, capable of covering any expense, anywhere, instantly. "Her name?" Marcus asked, his voice surprisingly steady, cutting through the tension. "Lily," she stammered. "Miss," Marcus prompted gently. "Evans. Sarah Evans." "Miss Evans," Marcus said, turning to the stunned nurse and placing the card firmly on the counter. "Admit Lily Evans immediately. Full diagnostic workup. Whatever she needs, charge it to Thorne Medical Trust. Account Sigma 7. I'll be right behind you." He didn't wait for confirmation. He simply turned to Sarah, his usual icy demure softened by an expression she couldn't quite read. Concern? Resolve? "Go with her. Stay with her. Don't worry about anything else." Sarah stared at him, her mouth slightly open, tears still streaming, but now mixed with utter disbelief. I don't understand. Who are you?" "Someone who heard a mother asking for help," Marcus replied simply. He saw the nurse, now wide-eyed, already moving, ushering Sarah and Lily towards the treatment bays with newfound urgency. "Go, now." As Sarah hurried after her daughter, casting one last bewildered, tearful glance back, Marcus remained standing. The sterile chill of St. Vincent's ER felt different now. The background noise, the beeping monitors, the distant intercom seemed less like inefficiency and more like the frantic pulse of life itself. He watched the double doors swing shut behind Sarah and Lily, carrying his card like a lifeline. He didn't follow. He didn't need to. He knew the best pediatric specialists in the city would be summoned within minutes. He knew Lily would get the oxygen, the scans, the care she desperately needed, paid for without sinking a single thought to cost. The sheer, overwhelming ease of it, the power to erase that crushing barrier of money with a single gesture, struck him with profound, unsettling force. How many others sat in this very room, drowning in that same desperate whisper, unheard? Marcus Thorne, the man who moved markets with a signature, felt a strange hollowness where his usual confidence resided. He hadn't just paid a bill, he had witnessed the terrifying fragility of life and the immense, often invisible weight of poverty. He'd seen pure, selfless love staring into the abyss, and in that moment, the carefully constructed walls of his billionaire existence felt thin. He walked out of St. Vincent's not to his waiting Rolls-Royce, but to a nearby park bench. He sat for a long time, the city buzzing around him, the image of Sarah's terrified eyes and Lily's pale face burned into his mind. The market reports on his phone felt meaningless, trivial dust. He pulled out his phone not to check stocks, but to call his head of philanthropy. "Jonathan," he said, his voice low but firm, "cancel my afternoon meetings and initiate Project Lifeline. Full funding, no copays, no barriers, for pediatric emergencies, starting today. And find Sarah Evans. Ensure Lily gets everything she needs, long-term, everything." He ended the call and looked up at the sky, the cold billionaire facade finally cracking to reveal something raw and human beneath. He hadn't just saved a little girl that day. In hearing that desperate whisper, "Please save my daughter," Marcus Thorne had, perhaps, begun to save a part of himself he didn't even know was lost. The shock wasn't just in his act of generosity, it was in the seismic shift it triggered within him. The dawning realization that true wealth isn't counted in billions, but in the courage to hear a whisper and answer it with your whole heart. Hope, he understood now, wasn't just for the desperate. Sometimes it was the only thing worth building an empire for. If you believe in kindness and second chance, please like, share, and subscribe to ACA Story Tales for more emotional stories. Your support helps us spread hope to millions. Thanks for watching.